Arizona Republican Congressman Andy Biggs rolling out new legislation to help pay for the border wall. It would penalize foreign aid to Mexico and to other countries by $2,000 for every illegal immigrant apprehended in the United States. Is this a good way to help finance the wall? Back with me, Nan Haworth, Rochelle Ritchie, Dan Geltrude, and Timpf. Kat, starting with you, seems kind of innovative. Would it work?
I think it's definitely very innovative. I am someone who personally thinks that there are better ways we could deal with border security than the wall. I think that maybe removing some of the welfare incentives would help us save money rather than having to spend money on a wall, especially because people can do things like overstay their visas anyways, which is more common. But it's certainly an innovative idea. I don't think it would actually ever get through because there'd be all these stories about countries needing this funds for this or for that. So I don't think it would actually be a feasible solution, but it's definitely innovative.
Yeah, I mean, could you just find these other countries, Dan, and say, hey, you got to have some responsibility and skin in the game, too. Don't allow people to come here illegally.
Let's say it is possible for us to fine other countries. Let's look at this mathematically. The Department of Homeland Security is talking about the cost of the wall being $20 billion. But let's assume the president can build it much faster and under budget, and he can do it for $10 billion.
You're telling me $2,000 isn't enough.
$2,000 means now you're talking about 5 million people we have to charge back for. Mathematically, it doesn't work. We need to find another way. Clearly, Mexico is not paying. We need a plan B.
But it would be a matter of subtracting from what we give to these other nations. I thought it was an intriguing idea as well, and would be theoretically budget neutral.
Yeah, and by the way, we should point out, it's not intended to pay for the whole shebang. It's just going to help offset
it offers something. I mean, you're talking $800 million a year if you're doing $2,000 per illegal immigrant that comes over into the country. I agree. I think it's an idea. I mean, first of all, Trump promised us that we would not have to fund the wall. So if they're going to put the bill in somebody else's pocket, then, absolutely. But one of my concerns about this is what's going to happen to these people when they are deported back home. Is that country going to then fine them or imprison them or worse as a result of them coming into the United States illegally and then costing them money? I just wonder if they would, somehow kind of go after those people that are entering the United States illegally. Not saying the United States would, but Mexico or other
Nan
countries.
and Dan are both smiling. Yeah, it's
well,
good.
It's not, but I think you want to be a little, have some humanity about the fact that these people could end up being, punished when they are deported back home.
I agree with the compassion, but I think we have to kind of work on things at home here. The whole point about this illegal immigration is it's illegal. They're not supposed to be here. You got to get in line. You got to do it the right way.
You can't just say, hey, we're going to take everyone from Mexico, right? I mean, the economics of that would never actually work. And as much as you want to help the world, we need to be focused on people back home. That's the priority. I mean, at least for this administration. And so I question whether the Democratic Party, as much as they're pushing this whole borderless society, Kat, whether that's really going to play in Peoria, as they say.
And I don't think that most Americans want a borderless society. I think that the Democratic Party or certain members of it have gone so far left saying just abolish ICE entirely, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just very interesting that no one was saying these things when Obama was president. It's just as a bit reactionary against Trump. But I don't think that it represents how most Americans feel, even Americans who are liberal.
And we have to remember that the Senate Democrats actually offered to fund $25 billion of the wall in exchange for 1.8 million undocumented DACA recipients being put on a path to legal citizenship. So it was there, but, they didn't go for it.
Do you think that's ever really something that could happen or should happen? I mean, all the people that are here illegally right now, if you said, you know what, we're going to just grandfather you in, Nan, and you have a path to citizenship. We're going to make you all U.S. citizens. You can pay your taxes, et cetera. Doesn't that provide sort of a perverse incentive going forward for other people that think, well, maybe I'll come here because there's a chance that I might have a path to citizenship someday?
Trish, it could. And I think your point, and Kat's well taken, about the fact that we, especially if someone's designated an asylee or a refugee, they get a generous package of social welfare benefits, and that is an inducement, and that is costly to hardworking Americans who are trying to feed their own families. To the president's credit, through deregulation and tax cuts and the GOP majorities in Congress, they have grown the economy so that we can be more welcoming. I would be happy, actually, to have an arrangement in which we provided for a pathway that would net be less disruptive than trying to deport people. But it has to be, it won't work at all, Trish, unless we have border security. And that's Representative Biggs' whole point. If we don't have secure borders, and including our ports of entry all across the nation and visa security, it won't
It's
work.
wild that this country's being criticized for this, right? That somehow we may not be as humane as others
Right.
because
We
we're not
are
willing to take everyone in. But, let me tell you, you're not getting into Switzerland to live there and
Nope.
get any benefits off of, New Zealand, other countries. It's very, very hard to get citizenship in
why people
any
come
of
here.
those places. Yeah. So,
Trish,
anyway,
one of the issues is great economy, and we're putting so many people back to work.
Right.
Now we're short workers.
Right.
So maybe now
It's
is
a
the time
perfect
to
opportunity.
consider
Agreed.
this plan.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're nonviolent and you want to contribute to the economy, I think that you should be able to immigrate here legally, and I think
And
it
pay
should be a
taxes,
little
yep.
easier
and
to
it's
do that.
right, like just make it easier and take people in the right way as opposed to all this nonsense.
Hey, we all agree. How about
all
that?
right.
Isn't
Well,
that
on that note, thank you guys. Good to see you all. All right, new season.